Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Unwoke Thoughts. Big show today. Big show. The cracks in this administration that currently occupies the White House are no longer cracks. Surprising, I know. But they are giant chasms roughly the size of, let's say, maybe the Grand Canyon. Yeah, that's probably a good comparison, I believe. I'm going to say the Grand Canyon. Yeah, I think that's an accurate description. And it's really hard to believe that the Biden regime can come back from this. And it's really unbelievable to see. I mean, what a time in history we live in where we just get to sit back, relax, and enjoy the clown show and just hope and pray that it doesn't affect us little people too much, right? So hope and pray that the clown show doesn't affect you too much. But we have a lot of big news happening. Donald Trump goes on Fox News and doesn't hold anything back as he finally reveals what he really thinks is going on in the White House. And let me tell you, it's it's not pretty. It's not pretty. But in that same interview, Trump reveals the latest news on his VP pick. So stay tuned for that. Big news. Big news on Trump's VP pick. Jake Tapper all but puts a MAGA hat on during a segment from CNN where he roasts Joe Biden for calling himself a black woman. Jake, listen, what's going on here? You are stealing MAGA material. You can't steal MAGA material after you've ripped into MAGA for so many years. What are you doing? You can't do that. Rumors swirl. This is big news here over Joe Biden, who potentially has Parkinson's disease. This is what they're saying. And this rumor was the hot topic of the White House press conference, which overwhelmed Karine Jean-Pierre and caused the press conference to derail over the, let's say, doublespeak and lies that Karine Jean-Pierre was attempting to come up with on the fly, until she just couldn't take it anymore and she snapped at reporters. And it was quite a sight to see. For so long, she's been treated with kid gloves by reporters, by the press. And now they've, taken out all the stops on Karine Jean-Pierre and she just cannot handle it. It's like when you become coddled for so long, you get soft. And that's what's happened to Karine Jean-Pierre. She can't handle the slightest bit of pushback, it seems. Elon Musk shares his thoughts on voting machines. So we'll see what Elon Musk has to say about voting machines. And this is a big one. Last one here, guys. And the Democrats moved to viciously oppose a bill that would make it illegal for an illegal immigrant to vote in our election. Yeah, let me read that again for you. Democrats moved to oppose a bill that would make it illegal for an illegal immigrant to vote in our election. So that's pretty interesting, but it's not a very good look for the Democrats because according to polling, 81% of Americans support this bill, or maybe not the bill itself, but support only Americans voting in elections, which is what this bill would do. So it kind of looks like the Democrats and the mainstream media propaganda machine have an uphill battle to somehow convince millions of Americans that it is somehow in their best interest to allow non-citizens to vote in our elections. So we'll see what happens with that. But ladies and gentlemen, big show, big news. Donald Trump reveals what he believes is going on in the White House. This came from Fox News. He called into Fox News and he said not only does he believe that Biden is going to stay in the race. So this is actually good news. I have said this. I have called on some of our leaders like, listen, guys, just leave Biden alone for just a few more months. Just a few more months. He is not looking good. His polling is way down. Just leave him alone for a little bit. Let's let Trump trounce him, get in the White House, and then we could move on from there. Because if you have Biden being replaced on the ticket somehow, We don't know what's going to happen after that. We don't know who they would replace him with. It's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. I would rather have Biden, who is the devil I know. But he says that Joe Biden will stay in the race. And then he says that Hunter Biden and Jill Biden, in fact, are in control of the White House, which is very concerning. But listen to this.
What part of his cognitive decline do you think they missed, or did they purposely cover for him, in your view?
Well, they cover for him, and they still are sort of covering, but now it's getting very difficult to do that. And, it looks to me like he may very well stay in. He's got an ego, and he doesn't want to quit. He doesn't want to do that. It just looks to me like that's what he wants. I think Jill would like to see him stay. She's having a good time. I notice she really seems to be having a good time, and I'm hearing that Hunter is calling the shots. So this isn't necessarily a very positive thing for our country. But I think he, might very well stay in, and if he does, nobody wants to give that up that way. He's going to feel badly about himself for a long time. It's hard to give it up that way, the way where they're trying to force him out. So, you really have to speak to his doctors, but obviously he's been sheltered by the fake news media. That's why they call it the fake news.
So Jill Biden and Hunter Biden running the White House, what a disaster. And we're going to see here in a little bit where Jill Biden is actually out campaigning for Joe Biden right now. She has, her calendar is full of stops for Joe Biden. And Joe Biden actually has no stops at all. So it's very interesting what is going on. And Hunter Biden, of course, has been seen at many of Joe Biden's meetings. So it's just absolutely incredible what is happening right now. And yeah, I don't know. The DNC is happening very soon. So maybe we'll get some news out of that. But we don't have any new news on whether or not Joe Biden is going to stay in the race. He keeps claiming he is. But the pressure from the media, from these reporters, I'm going to go over this press conference here in a little bit. It's absolutely insane. It's building, and something has to release. Either Joe Biden has to step down, they've got to give up, because I don't see the media actually continuing this line of attack if Biden is actually the Democrat nominee. There's no way. There's no way at all. At some point, something's going to happen. Either the Democrats accept Biden as the nominee, they replace him, and then we're going to see all this pressure be released. Joe Biden, or Donald Trump rather, talks about Joe Biden's blank stare during the debate. He says he claims that he didn't look at Biden during the entire debate, except for one moment where he went a little haywire. I'm going to play this. This is when Donald Trump went on Fox News for the call-in interview. And then I will play for you that moment where Donald Trump looks at a haywire Joe Biden rambling. Listen.
Well, let me ask you this. I think some of the worst moments for President Biden were when he wasn't talking. There was like this blank, vacant stare, and it's like he was checked out. And I've run a montage of it. When you were speaking and you'd look over, did you notice that too, or?
I was thinking about what I was saying. I wasn't looking over at him almost at all, except when he went a little bit haywire. I didn't look at him at all. And I'm very disappointed in him. He's the worst president in the history of our country. We've never had anything like it, what he's done to our borders, what he's done to our country, inflation, the people that he's hurting. He's destroying Social Security. And people are, I'm just so upset with him as president. And so I wasn't really looking over. I purposely wasn't. And I did take a couple of peeks when he was in the midst of giving some really bad answers. They weren't even answers. They were just words put together that had no meaning or sense. Well, but for the most part, I didn't really look over.
That's so brutal. That is so brutal. He says, I didn't look over. I couldn't. Except for a couple moments when he went haywire. I took a couple peeks when he was trying to put sentences together And they really weren't sentences. They were just words jumbled into a conglomeration of a sentence. But this is, I believe, the moment that he is talking about where Biden, quote unquote, went haywire, because this is like the famous moment that's been shared a lot where Donald Trump standing very stoic. He's standing very stoic, looking presidential, because Donald Trump, he just has that look. He has that look like, this is a guy that I want to be in charge. This is a guy who I believe can lead me into the wild blue yonder or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how to put it. He was standing stoic, square jaw, looking good, hair looking good, his skin looking less orange than usual. And Biden, on the other hand, it was quite the contrast. Biden, on the other hand, was talking. He was talking, I will give him that. But his words just seemed to kind of fall out of his mouth versus him speaking with authority. It seemed like he was trying to force the words out of his mouth, or maybe his brain wasn't connected with his mouth in some way. Words were coming out, but they just didn't make a whole lot of sense. A lot of abrupt ends to sentences. He had ended in the middle of a sentence and he'd start another sentence. And at one point, Donald Trump, he just could not help himself. He's standing there all stoic. He kind of looks over. Looks over. Hold on. He looks over like this. And he does it twice. And this is the moment where that happened. And this is the moment I believe he was talking about. Watch.
People coming across the border illegally, it's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
People coming across the border illegally, it's better than when he left office.
I got to watch it again.
I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence.
That was such a perfect moment right there. He goes, because he didn't sound like very vitriolic. He didn't sound like he was slamming Biden. He made it seem like, listen, it's kind of, I'm not really sure what he said. And he did take a little bit of a jab after that, and I don't think he knows what he said either. But I think that was just a perfect slam by Donald Trump. But that face he makes when he looks over at Joe Biden, just kind of does a little sideways glance. Like, hey, America, what's going on? What's going on with this? What is this? This is the guy that you voted in as president? Yeah, right. So Donald Trump giving some remarks about the debate, very interesting. But we also have Trump talking about his VP pick. Big news, guys. Big news. You won't believe this, but Trump still has not picked his VP. Okay, I might have pumped it up a little bit in the beginning of the show when I said big news. But I think this is one of the first times I have heard Trump in the past, at least a couple months so far, say that he has not picked his VP or even talked about his VP, especially on Fox News. But he does say, he doesn't say he will do it during the convention. He says he would love to do it during the convention. Down below, if you can, drop your VP pick, who you think it will be. And while you're at it, if you haven't yet, please hit that like button, subscribe, and become a member. Looks like we have a new member that just joined. We Need Peace. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget we have a members only chat, so make sure you join that Discord channel, that Discord chat room. It should be pinned in the member area on my YouTube. So welcome, We Need Peace. Thank you. But this is Donald Trump speaking about his VP pick, saying that he would love to do it during the convention, which is coming up very soon.
And I know this was last minute. Thanks for calling in tonight. And I want to ask you about your VP choice. How soon do you think you'll be making that choice, number one? Number two, we keep reading that there is a short list, and on the short list, we hear names like Senator Rubio, Senator Tim Scott, Senator J.D. Vance, Governor Burgum. Are those reports accurate? Are there other people maybe people aren't paying attention to? And when do you think you'll announce that?
Well, we started off with a lot of people. We have a lot of good people. As they call it, we have a great bench in the Republican Party. The names that you mentioned, absolutely, they're under consideration. And I haven't made final decision, but I have some ideas as to where we're going. And a little bit, we wanted to see what they're doing, to be honest, because, it might make a difference. I don't know. I'm not sure that it would. But there are those that say Trump's waiting until he finds out what's going to happen with crooked Joe Biden. And we'll see what happens with Biden. But, I think probably within the next week and a half, probably sometime. I'd love to do it during the convention. My people say that's a little complicated. In the old days, they would announce the vice president during the convention. Today, with modern day technology, you can't do things that you could have done 50 years ago very easily. But probably a little before the convention, but not much. It could even be during the convention that we'd do it. I'd love to do it during the convention. I think it would be a very interesting build-up and important for the convention. It would make it even more exciting. It's going to be amazing in Milwaukee.
If you announced it right now on this show, I think it would make a lot of news. I'm just saying.
Well, if I did it, I'd love to do it with you. But we'll be announcing soon, and I think everybody's going to be very, very happy. The choice will be very, very good. It's going to be a great vice president, meaning a person that can do a fantastic job as president, because you always have to think of that first. And then second, somebody that helps you get elected. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So there you have it. Looks like Donald Trump could, or maybe not, announce it during the RNC. Some people said he was going to announce it during the debate. People have said for sure during the RNC, and now he is even building more suspense because the RNC is coming up very quickly, just in, a week or so. And everyone thought he was going to announce there. So watch him go through the RNC, never announce his VP pick. But I think he makes a good point. Maybe we got to see what the DNC or the Democrats are going to do first, what they're going to do with Joe Biden, because that party is in such chaos right now. It's kind of hard to gauge, because it's kind of like politics. I look at it kind of as like chess, you make a move, they make a move, and you would like to see what their move is before you make your move, because, it's if you move first, they have the advantage. But moving on, guys, we had a heck of a press conference with Karine Jean-Pierre. Absolutely incredible. Completely went off the rails. Total chaos. This is kind of what I meant. This is a big part of what I meant when I said that this Biden administration, the cracks are not cracks anymore. They're giant chasms. And this is a part of what I meant, because it seems that Karine Jean-Pierre just can't handle the pressure. And I truly believe it's because she is not used to dealing with the pressure. In one of these, she says that she is offended. Yes, she's offended. This is the press secretary of the White House saying that she is offended. What? Oh, you're offended? Oh, sorry, Your Highness. Sorry. Us little people will just go back on our caves and try not to offend you with words. Not like what a regime does that you are the spokesperson to or for. It's not like it has a massive effect on all of our lives down here in the rest of America. But I'm sorry for hurting your feelings, Karine Jean-Pierre. It's so hilarious. These people, their perspectives are so warped. They don't even realize it's like all the White House is a position to occupy. It's just, a way for them to live their lives, and they don't realize, like, listen, these have real effects, the White House and the presidency, and you guys have real effects on other people's lives, and that's why you're facing so much backlash. Unfortunately, it's coming so late from the media, but it's coming fast and hard right now. But Karine Jean-Pierre in this clip is asked why a Parkinson's expert visited the White House, which led to rumors that Joe Biden, it's kind of a conclusion you can draw, I guess. Joe Biden has Parkinson's. Listen.
We provide to all of you.
That's a very basic, direct question.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a second.
Eight times, or at least once, in regards to the president specifically.
Hold on a second.
That's what you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no. No, wait a minute. Ed, please. A little respect here, please. So,
a little respect.
Around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times, right? So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying. I am telling you that he has seen them 3 times. That is what I'm sharing with you, right? So every time he has a physical, he has had to see a neurologist. So that is answering that question.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is. You're
Dr.
asking me.
Kennard come to the White House.
But I also said to you, Ed, I also said to you, for security reasons, we cannot share names. We cannot share names.
You cannot
we
share
have
names
to. We have to.
Others he would have met with.
We
but
cannot,
you can share names in regards to if someone came here in regards to the president.
We cannot share names of specialists broadly, from a dermatologist to a neurologist. We cannot share names. There are security reasons. We have to protect. I understand that. I hear you.
Right there for anyone to see.
Ed, I hear you. I cannot from here confirm any of that because we have to keep their privacy. I think they would appreciate that too.
Don't you just love it?
We have to give them.
The doctor.
We have to keep their privacy.
It is public.
I hear you.
Sit back and enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
Guys, hold on a second. There's no reason to go back and forth and be in this aggressive way.
Miffed around here about.
Oh, stop! You're hurting my feelings. You're so aggressive. There's no reason for you to do this. Lecturing. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad the media finally decided to grow a pair of cojones, let's put it that way. I don't think they finally decided. They were told that they can unleash the beast, but either way, it's still amazing to watch. Look at her face. Look at her face. She's been so used to the media just expecting the media to just accept her doublespeak and her lies and her framing and her propaganda, that she's grown soft. She has been coddled. Poor baby, Karine Jean-Pierre, is all of a sudden having to deal with a press conference like a big boy. She's having to put her big boy pants on and realize, hey, this is actually, believe it or not, even though it's kind of all fake, this is what press is supposed to do. Speak truth to power. Ask the hard questions. When they tell you BS, you call out that BS. That's what they're supposed to do. The press here is what it should be all the time. But unfortunately, it's not, because someone is just trying to make a power move here, and they have unleashed the beast of the press on Joe Biden. This is not something that is going to last. This is not something that's going to continue on when the actual Democrat nominee is chosen or confirmed, Biden or someone else. But at least we get to enjoy the show for a little bit.
With the press corps about here.
What do you missed about? What do you miss
Everything
about?
he just asked about.
What do you? And then every time I come back and I answer the question that you guys asked.
Correctly, didn't have to come back and clean it up.
I never
2 days
answered the
later.
question incorrectly. That is not true. I was asked about a medical exam. I was asked about a physical. That was in the line of question that I answered. And I said, no, he did not have a medical exam. And I still stand by that. Matter of fact, the president still stands by that. He had a verbal check-in. That is something that the president has a couple times a week. A couple times a week.
Now in regards to Dr. Kevin Kennard.
And I am telling you right now that I am not sharing confirming names from here. It is a security reasons. I am not going to do that, Ed. It doesn't matter how hard you push me.
Listen to her whiny voice. I am not going to do that. I'm not sharing names from here. What? This is the press secretary for the most powerful man in the world? I mean, this whole administration is just an absolute train wreck. I mean, her emotions are getting to her. This should not be what happens to someone who is the mouthpiece for the White House. She should say, listen, that is a security risk. I will not be sharing that. Not in an argumentative, overly emotional tone. I'm not going to do that. How dare you? How dare you attack me? How dare you get aggressive? What? That's insane. Who are these people who are in the White House? Like, what is going on here? It's literally unbelievable. And it's almost inspiring because it shows that literally anybody could be in these positions. I mean, they have a half-dead guy as president. They have a, let's just say, I'm not going to say the word, but the R word. They have an R word in the press secretary's position, who can't control her emotions. Like, what? Ladies and gentlemen, tell your sons and your daughters, you can do anything that you say your mind to. Because if Karine Jean-Pierre can be the press secretary for the United States president, I mean, what can you do? Literally anything. It's incredible.
It doesn't matter how angry you get with me. I'm not going to confirm a name. It doesn't matter if it's even in the log. I am not going to do that from here. That is not something I am going to do. What I can share with you is that the president has seen a neurologist for his physical 3 times. 3 times. And it is in the reporting that we share a comprehensive reporting. Matter of fact, it's more than what the last guy shared, and it is in line with what George W. Bush did. It's in line with what Obama did. And so it is comprehensive. It is out there. I just read a quote from it, but I am not going to divulge somebody's name or confirm someone. I'm not going to do that. That is as privacy for that person. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me from here. I'm just not going to do that. It is inappropriate. It is not acceptable.
Thanks, Karine. Thank you very much for that very informative little emotional rant you gave. I mean, guys, am I wrong when I say, like, it's absolutely insane to see a press secretary get all emotional and argumentative with reporters? Like, I get some back and forth, but her voice, like, raised, like, 2 octaves. And she seems weak. She doesn't seem like someone who is a spokesperson for the White House. And even worse, here. Karine Jean-Pierre, if you thought she got emotional before, listen to this, where she actually lectures the press. And she says that she is offended by their questions. What? Oh, be offended. I don't need to know that because you know why? I don't care if you're offended. Answer the question. Either answer the question or say you're not going to answer the question. Don't tell me you're offended because I really don't care. Listen.
I just want to take a step back for a second because I do take offense to what Ed alluded to. You know, come out here every day. There's a press briefing, and we do our best to give you the information that we have at the time.
She's like, listen, guys, we do our best, and it really offends me. It offends me that you can't recognize that because we do our best here at the White House. Dude, I mean, Oh, this is just embarrassing, man.
That's what we do. And we understand that freedom of the press, we respect the freedom of the press. You heard me talk about this last week. I appreciate the back and forth that we all have. I try to respect you.
No, she doesn't.
I hope you try to respect me. And we literally do everything that we can. My team does everything that we can to make sure we get the answers to you. That's what we do. And sometimes we disagree. Sometimes we are not in agreement. But you know what? That's democracy. That is what is important, to have that healthy back and forth. And so to say that I'm holding information or allude to anything else is not unfair. It's really, really unfair. I think people who are watching and have been watching this briefing for this past week could say that we are doing our best in this briefing to provide the information that we have. And I will admit, I will be the first one to admit, sometimes I get it wrong. At least I admit that. At least I admit that. And sometimes I don't have the information. And I will always, always admit that. But I do take offense to what was just happening at the beginning of this briefing. It's not okay.
It's not okay. I take offense. It's not okay. I respect the free press, but it's not okay. I take offense. Okay, thanks, Mom. Thanks. What? It's just so crazy, man. Like, what kind of times do we live in when the press secretary is lecturing the press over their questions? But the White House has come out in response to these Parkinson's rumors, because this is the name. This is the name, Dr. Canard, right here, that Karine Jean-Pierre would not confirm. But Dr. Connor, Joe Biden's, I guess, primary doctor, wrote up a response to all of these rumors about this Parkinson's doctor, Dr. Kevin Conard, visiting the White House. This happened just last night, so this is not very old at all. This literally just happened. It says, I wanted to share with you background on why Dr. Kevin Canard visited the White House to protect patient privacy for the thousands of patients of the White House medical unit and the physicians who treated them. Normally, we do not disclose the names of the specialists we work with. However, in the interest of accuracy, I have obtained permission from the president and Dr. Canard to confirm the details I am sharing. Dr. Canard has been the neurology, God, that was a tough word for me to say, has been the neurology consultant to the White House medical unit since 2012. He was chosen for his breadth of experience and expertise across the specialty of neurology. And it kind of goes into his background, talks about prior to the pandemic, he has held regular neurology clinics at the White House Medical Clinic in support of the thousands of active duty members assigned in support of the White House operations. Many military personnel experience, blah, blah, blah. As I have written in each of the president's medical records, as part of the president's annual physical, he sees a team of specialists that have included optometry, dentistry, orthopedics, spine, physical therapy, neurology, sleep medicine, cardiology, radiology, dermatology. Dr. Canard was the neurological specialist that examined President Biden for each of his annual physicals. His findings have been made public each time I have released the results of the president's annual physical. How many of you guys think that these findings are actually findings? Yeah, right. These findings, I made some very professional findings. I just collected data and I just put them on the paper. Just I showed it to the public. I didn't do anything wrong. Right. President Biden has not seen a neurologist outside of his annual physical. The results of this year's exam were detailed in my February 28th letter. Guys, if you want to see the results of the findings, I definitely did. And I just wrote down the data I collected on a piece of paper. I didn't alter anything whatsoever. It's just what oh my gosh. But the results of the February exam is in the letter. A extremely detailed neurological exam was again reassuring in that there was no findings which would be consistent with cerebellar, well, I don't even know what that is, with any cerebellar or any other central neurological disorder such as stroke, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, or ascending lateral sclerosis, nor are there any signs of cervical myelopathy. Guys, I'm struggling here. Okay, these medical terminologies. If you haven't said them before, they're hard to pronounce. Myelopathy. This exam did again support a finding of peripheral neuropathy in both feet. No motor weakness was detected. He exhibits no tremor, either at rest or with activity. He's as healthy as a horse. He demonstrates excellent fine motor dexterity, yes. But a subtle difference in heat and cold sensation could be elicited as it was last year. This heat-cold sensation deficit was detected a couple of inches higher on his ankle calf this year, which is not unexpected. There may, in fact, be day-to-day subjective variation of these findings, as during last year's exam, this area of sensation deficit was actually found to be smaller than the year before. So that's the 100% totally legit findings from Dr. O'Connor and Dr. Cannard, who is the Parkinson's doctor, apparently. And guys, you just have to take their word for it, even if you feel like it is a little bit suspicious. It's not, guys. Just take their word for it. They just wrote data on a piece of paper, okay? They weren't influenced at all. Come on, that doesn't happen. But I think it's funny because they go through like these ailments that Joe Biden does have. And this is like par for the course when you're trying to lie to somebody. You introduce a bunch of like small truths to divert from the bigger lie. It's like, guys, we can see, like, we all have eyes. There's something deeper going on here. Well, I mean, you can say that, you know, he has these little problems. It's kind of like Hunter Biden when he got indicted for this gun crime. And people were pointing to that, hey, look, Joe Biden, his Department of Justice, there's not two tiers of justice. Just because Donald Trump got, you know, convicted on 34 felony counts does not mean that there's a two-tier justice system. Because look, Hunter Biden, he got indicted and he got convicted. But yeah, what are the crimes that they decided not to indict him on? It's like all of the big crimes they let the statute of limitations lapse on, and then they charge him with what? Like a measly little gun crime? Like, oh wow. Yeah, thanks a lot. You really proved to us that there's not a two-tier justice system. Same thing here. They say, look, this is a legit medical opinion because we did find some things wrong with Biden. Granted. This little thing, this little thing, this little thing, this little thing, this little thing. But oddly enough, none of the big things that would really throw his presidency or his ability to perform in the White House into question, none of the big things are there. Wow. Surprise, surprise. Mind blown. Absolutely. Mind blown. It's just so funny because it happens every time. Mind blown. Joe Biden goes on Morning Joe, where Mika asked him directly. She asked Biden, "Hey, hey Joe Biden, do you have Parkinson's?
You've been tested for any age-related illnesses, pre-Parkinson's, or anything like that that might explain sort of having a night like that where you couldn't finish sentences?"
Look, I was feeling so badly before the debate. When I came back, they tested me for, I thought maybe I had COVID, maybe there was something wrong, I had an infection or something. They tested me, they gave me those tests, I was clear. So, but look, I had a bad night. But the fact of the matter is, look at what I'm doing. I mean, let me put it this way. If there was something that was wrong that night, It's not like it comes and that's one night and it goes away. That's why I've been out. I've been testing myself, been testing everywhere I go, going out and making the case. The night of that debate, I went out. I was out till 2 o'clock in the morning that very night. That very night, it drives me nuts, people talking about this. That very night, I'm talking to large crowds. Look at the crowds we've gathered everywhere from Atlanta to North Carolina to Pennsylvania, and look at the enthusiasm. But it was right after. Where the hell's Trump been? What has Trump said or done?
What has Trump said or done? I mean, he really doesn't have to say much of anything, although he has. I played for you the clip of him talking about the debate a little bit. But what does Trump really have to say about you, Joe Biden? I believe it's a strategic thing that you can do where when your enemy is just destroying themselves, I mean, maybe you shouldn't step in because you might end up helping him. Biden, his administration, is just collapsing right now, it just seems like. Even though he's digging his heels in, he's trying to make the case that, hey, I deserve to be here and you want me to be here, but it's not working because every time he tries to do it, he has another gaffe. And speaking of making the case, Biden all but dares the Democrats to replace him at the convention, and this was in that same interview on Morning Joe. Listen.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for 2 reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance, number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party.
Oh, the elites,
they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce the president. Challenge me at the convention. The American public is not...
He sounds like one of us. I'm getting so frustrated with the elites. Oh, my God, they're so unfair. They just think they're so much better than us. The elites. Really? Joe Biden is complaining about the elites? The president of the United States, who has been in office, who has suckled at the taxpayer teat for how many decades? He's lived off the taxpayer essentially his entire life. And here he is in his, let's just say, his sunset years, complaining about the elites. Bro, you literally are one of the elites. You've lived off the taxpayer dime basically your entire life. You have become rich off the American people and their hard work. And here you are at the end of your days complaining about the elites. That is just absolutely rich. Jake Tapper, he is jumping on the bandwagon, roasting Joe Biden over his comment that he is a black woman. Like I said, he is plagiarizing material here. He is taking someone else's jokes. He's taking MAGA's jokes and their observations and pretending like they're his. This is not your material, Jake Tapper. What are you doing? He might as well put a MAGA hat on and paint his face orange. Listen.
Before the president did that, he called into a couple of black radio stations where he said, among other things, this.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president. I'm proud of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America.
He's proud to be the first black woman? Not coherent. And even then, We later found out, from the radio host, that the Biden campaign had given her a list of questions to ask President Biden. That is a huge no-no in journalism, and the host was fired for it, but it remains quite telling that in the Biden campaign's efforts to show that the president has not missed a step, his campaign felt the need to feed questions to the hosts for a call-in radio interview. And the president still, even then, failed to deliver in many of his answers.
Listen, Jake. Listen, buddy. You can't do this. You can't do this. What are you doing? This is not your joke to make. This is not your criticism to make. When for so many years you refused to criticize Joe Biden at all, and now you're coming out and jumping on this bandwagon? What? Wow, Jake. And to say that the host of this radio program was fired because she was given the questions and asked the questions to Joe Biden. No, that's not why she was fired. She was fired because she let it slip in an interview afterwards that that's what she did. Because that's actually why she was fired. This happens all the time. You think that this is something that never happens? A interviewer gives the questions or gets the questions and reads the questions to the president or someone that they're trying to pump up in the media. It's only when it comes out in the public and it's confirmed that these types of things happen and the interviewer gets fired. So Jake Tapper, another lie. He knows these things happen all the time. But Jill Biden is out campaigning and stumping for her husband, Joe Biden, by herself, believe it or not.
Joe Biden isn't doing anything today, but the First Lady is the first stop on her Southern campaign blitz. She's making remarks in Florida and Georgia today. 3 stops, 3 states for her. 0 public events scheduled today during arguably the most crucial week of Joe Biden's political career, although he did call into MSNBC this morning and sent out a letter to the Democrats. But can they stave off all of these Democrats standing up and saying no more, even if they're doing it in privately? The chorus is growing and it's loud.
I think we're going to have to wait to see. I do think what's very interesting is that the president did call into Morning Joe earlier this morning. I do think you'll likely see more interviews.
Joe Biden isn't doing anything.
I think, what does he say? I think what is very interesting is that Joe Biden did call into Morning Joe this morning. Oh, really? You actually, do you think that's interesting, man? How, in what world do you think that is interesting whatsoever? But this is the actual calendar. These are the events for Jill Biden right here. The official schedule. Jill Biden has 3. She has 3 events scheduled, as you see. Daily guidance for the First Lady for Monday, July the 8th, 2024. All times are local and subject to change. At 11:30, First Lady Jill Biden will arrive at Wilmington International Airport in Wilmington, North Carolina. Oh, hey. I'm familiar with Wilmington. At 12:15 p.m., the First Lady will deliver remarks at a political event in Wilmington. At 2:30, the First Lady will arrive at Tampa International Airport. At 3:15, the First Lady will deliver remarks at a political event in Tampa. And then she is going to Columbus and will deliver remarks at an event there. And this is the schedule for Joe Biden. 0 events for Joe Biden. However, we have events for Jill Biden. So is she running things? Is Jill Biden running the White House? Now, Donald Trump says it's Jill Biden and Hunter Biden. This is Kevin McCarthy. Not a big fan of the guy, really, but he has a unique perspective into the Biden White House. Listen.
and you seeing Jill out there, she's a hard campaigner. I will tell you, it's much different of why I know that they're going to stay in this race. Jill doesn't want to leave either. Many times when we had meetings in the Oval Office, Jill was there as well.
Interesting. Wait, so the First Lady was in some of your meetings about policy?
Many times Jill would come in. There was one time when I'd sit there and the president said something in this famous tour down to the pool saying, do you want to go outside? Jill turns very quickly when she hears that and says, no, they don't want to go outside, because she knew exactly what position he was in and what he was doing. And then he just turns around, you don't want to go outside? And then let us outside. Many times, I don't think she's there for policy. I think she's there to give him comfort and direct the meetings.
That's stunning. That's stunning. I cannot imagine First Lady Melania Trump on a policy meeting. I never once saw that happen, but what you said echoes reporting from New York Magazine that Jill led him in front of a donor, literally coaching him with what to say, how to speak. She's running the show.
Look, I've been talking about this for more than a year. I've watched its decline. Every meeting I've had with this president has been different, and they would attack me because of it. This is a pattern of behavior you watched with the Hunter Biden laptop. I expect President Biden to call Secretary of State Blinken to go get 51 physicians to sign a letter that says he's cognitively fine and put that out, and then go after the media to say, you can't print about this. I mean, the real question here is, this is becoming their Watergate. Who knew it, and when did they know it, and what did they do? I mean, if you think of the vice president, she was one of the most fierce attacks against us whenever we brought this up. So did she not know this was going on? That would disqualify her to become president if she couldn't figure out this was happening. And then it would also disqualify her to be the nominee if she did and wouldn't share with the American public.
You know, you mentioned this is their Watergate. I think you could be right on that. So the question becomes, what do Republicans do? Should there be a select committee into Biden's mental health the way there was one into January 6th?
No, leave it alone. Leave it alone. No committee, just leave it alone. Let Biden run. Come, Kayleigh McEnany, come on, just leave it alone, okay? We want Biden. I'm riding with Biden. We're all riding with Biden. Into the sunset. Yes. But even more confirmation that it's Jill, in fact, that is running the show over at the White House. And even more confirmation that this is just really weird, Jill Biden, and the way she treats her husband. You would think that, I've said it many times. There's nothing new. It's kind of cruel, right? It's kind of cruel. Joe Biden is in a position where he arguably gets more press than any other individual in the entire world, just about. And he is deteriorating. It's natural. It happens. It's normal. And then you have Jill Biden, who is still, she still seems pretty sharp. And she is controlling Joe. She has a lot of control over him. She has a lot of influence over him. Telling him how to act in meetings, telling him where to go, telling him what to say, coaching him. This is what the office of the presidency has been denigrated to. It's absolutely incredible. Jill Biden, though, she's getting upset. This administration, once again, just like with Karine Jean-Pierre, for so many years they have been coddled by the media because Orange Man bad. Now the media is being influenced to try to oust Joe Biden for a different replacement. That's, in my opinion, the best theory. So they have turned their attack dogs on the Bidens, the Biden regime. And the Biden regime has gone soft, and they can't handle the pushback. This is Jill Biden snapping, just like Karine Jean-Pierre did, snapping at these reporters for asking questions.
Do you have any message to House Democrats who are calling for your husband to drop out of the race? How are you feeling about the state of the race? All right, ladies. Why are you screaming at me? You know me. Don't scream at me. Just let me talk. Do you have any message to House Democrats who are calling for your husband?
Why are you screaming at me? You know me. You know me. You don't have to scream at me. That's mean. Screaming at me is mean. So Very, very incredible stuff, ladies and gentlemen. The House Republicans have introduced a act that would make it illegal for non-citizens to vote. It would make it illegal for illegal immigrants to vote in our elections, which might sound, logical to you, but this is something that the Democrats and the president, the office of President Biden, the Biden administration, has come out viciously against. I don't know. I haven't even read this statement yet, but I assume the attacks from the Democrats, the left, the Biden administration is going to be somewhere along the lines of this bill is racist, probably. And it causes people not to be able to vote somehow, restricts access to the ballot. It's probably going to be somewhere along those lines. That's kind of all their attacks, watching the media, what Democrats are going to say in the upcoming weeks about this bill. But this bill is very important. And let's just read this statement from the administration. Executive Office of the President says, Statement of Administration Policy. The administration strongly opposes H.R. 8281, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It is already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. Well, what? If it's already illegal, then why would you oppose this? It is a federal crime punishable by prison and fines. The alleged justification for this bill is based on easily disproven falsehoods. Additionally, making a false claim of citizenship or unlawfully voting in an election is punishable by removal from the United States and a permanent bar to admission. States have already effective safeguards in place to verify voters' eligibility and maintain the accuracy of voter rolls. That's like saying, listen, America, we don't need these safeguards. Kind of like, listen, bro, who owns a house, you don't need to put a lock on your house because it's illegal to break into someone's home, okay? You don't need what? You're putting a lock on your door? Look at this idiot putting a lock on his door. It's already illegal to freaking break into someone's home. Moron. This bill would do nothing to safeguard our elections, but it would make it much harder for all eligible Americans to register to vote. See, there it is right there. And increase the risk that eligible voters are purged from voter rolls. The evidence is clear that the current laws to prevent non-citizens voting are working as intended. It is extraordinarily rare for non-citizens to break the law by voting in federal elections. So that is the response from the Biden administration. Let's take just a quick look at what is in this SAVE Act. Then we're going to wrap it up and go to comments. So just the executive summary I'm going to read here because this is a 22-page long document. See what it says. Well, falsely claiming that 2016 was stolen, I think I mean to say election was stolen, due to foreign election interference, Democrats ignore the real threat of foreign election and interference posed when non-citizens are allowed to register and vote in the U.S. elections. Let me zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. Here we go. Lax voter registration laws make it possible for non-citizens to register and vote in federal elections, while campaign finance loopholes allow non-citizens to fund U.S. election activities, both of which can affect the outcome of our elections. There is ample evidence that non-citizens are voting in the U.S. elections. A 2014 study that analyzed the 2008 and 2010 elections conclude that not only had non-citizens illegally voted in U.S. elections, but also that the votes of non-citizens likely determined the outcome in certain races. In states like Massachusetts, Ohio, and Virginia, non-citizens have recently been removed from the voting rolls, and many of those non-citizens had voted. The Arizona Secretary of State website is currently falsely promoting the idea that individuals who fail to present proof of citizenship when registering will be eligible to vote in federal elections. So the Arizona Secretary of State website is currently promoting the idea that, Recently, the House Committee on Administration reported the Safeguard Voter Eligibility Act, which will require an individual to provide proof of citizenship. Sounds pretty reasonable to me when registering to vote in federal elections. There's ID, driver's license. Come on. What? Who would be against this? Provide states with access to existing federal databases so they can clean up their voter registration rolls and remove non-citizens from the rolls. Congress must pass the SAVE Act to close the loopholes that allow non-citizen registration and, in turn, voting to enhance election security, minimize the risk of foreign interference, and restore Americans' confidence in U.S. elections. Hey, I'm digging it. I like the SAVE Act. I think we need to do this. It's very important. And honestly, there's a lot of other people in America who are digging this too, who are on the side of what this bill is trying to protect. This is from Chip Roy. 81% of Americans want ID verification to vote. Democrats are assaulting American citizenship on a daily basis. Elections, open borders, physical health, welfare to non-citizens. It's time to stand up for Americans and pass the SAVE Act. This is Chip Roy, good congressman, on Fox News talking about the SAVE Act.
1% of voters specifically say they are in favor of voter ID. So Democrats are going to vote against something that 81% of Americans are in favor of? Really?
Yeah, well, I was proud to join with the Speaker of the House and my friend Mike Lee over in the Senate to introduce the SAVE Act. It's legislation that I authored. This is legislation that would require proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. We don't think this is that complicated. As you said, it's an 80% plus issue across the board among the American people. But Democrats, as usual, are so out of step and out of touch that they're going to fight it. They're going to challenge it. And they're going to try to stand up for the continued destruction of election integrity in this country, rather than just making a simple statement that only citizens should be voting in our federal elections. We have the power to do that under the Constitution. We should do it. There's been credible indication and evidence of mass, efforts to recruit people who are here illegally and non-citizens to vote. Virginia had to clean off their rolls last year. They had 1,500 they had to clean off. There's thousands of examples across the country. Let's fix this right now, even as the president has had his lawlessness destroy our borders and import millions of people into this country. And they've even acknowledged that they intend to try to register these individuals to vote, using welfare rolls to do it, using Medicaid to do it. Let's stand up right now as America and say only citizens should vote, and you should have to provide proof of citizenship to register.
Well, I would.
Thanks, Chip. Yes, very important bill before the election. We've got to have measures in place to protect our elections. That's plain and simple. The Democrats, they just try to brainwash people into say, oh, hey, look at this. It's going to have a negative effect here. It's going to have a negative effect there. It's like, what are you guys even talking about? Our elections should be the most secure thing we have in our country because there's so much incentive and interest involved in our elections. The incentive is massive. You can just look at how much money is spent on elections every single year in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Just observing that simple fact should tell you that there is a massive incentive for certain candidates to get into office. So to protect the integrity of, these offices, we have to have safe and fair elections. But this is Senator Mike Lee's response to the Save American Act. Great senator. This is what he had to say.
So federal law prohibits non-citizens from voting in federal elections. But another federal law has been interpreted to prohibit those who handle voter registration from asking people to prove that they're citizens when registering people to vote. The SAVE Act would fix that and make sure that non-citizens can't vote in federal elections. It's especially important right now, given that we've just let 10 or 11 million new illegal aliens into the country. We've got an estimated, 30 million or so non-citizens in the country. we've got to pass the SAVE Act. We've got to pass it now, because otherwise we're going to end up having a very high risk of a large number of non-citizens voting in our federal elections. We can't let that happen.
Thanks, Mike. Great response to the SAVE Act. Last thing, guys. Elon Musk comes out and says that electronic voting machines and anything mailed in is too risky. We should mandate paper ballots and in-person voting. And he cites a few articles here. So it's good to see one of the richest men in the world and the guy who owns Twitter, or X, coming out for election integrity. Is very important stuff. Let's see what articles he references. The Times says what we found was disturbing. We could reprogram the machine to invisibly cause any candidate to win. What? Vote stealing code that could spread from machine to machine like a computer virus. So this is on the Times. GeekWire. This is another article he referenced. It has been nearly 20 years since Bill Gates jumped on the stage at Comdex trade show and introduced a new operating system called Windows CE. So you can imagine the dismay when a reporter for Vice News discovers that some Diebold voting machines that will be used in the 2016 election are still running outdated versions of the Microsoft operating software. They interviewed a computer science professor from the University of Michigan who says the U.S. is painting a bullseye on its election system by using antiquated touchscreen voting machines. Wow. This must be the headline for this GeekWire article. Then the last one, the dismal state of America's decade-old voting machine. So not only do we need to protect our elections by making sure only citizens can vote in our elections, but we also need to protect our elections by making sure when you go and vote in these voting machines that it's accurately representing your vote and is making sure all the votes are counted accurately and there's not some sort of foreign outside influence coming into the whole situation. But ladies and gentlemen, that is a show. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the chat. Hey, throw those emojis in the chat, guys, because I still have it up. You throw those emojis up, they float up. And I even made them bigger so you can see them even more. So pump those emojis. Make sure you smash that like button and follow the show. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I do this morning show every morning, and it's fun. I like hanging out with you guys. It's a good time. But let's see who we have in the chat. We have Michelle C. in the chat. Michelle says, Elon is right. Paper ballots only. Hey, Michelle. Good to see you back. Yesterday, she left us. And I know she had a doctor's visit. I hope everything went well. If you guys want to pump the emojis, you got to put them in the actual chat. You got to put them in the chat, like right here. You see there? Yeah, there you go. So if you want to interact directly with the live stream, you put emojis in, they float up into this chat box right here. So you have to put them in the actual chat. But Jeremy Brummer is also in the chat. It's been a blast. Thanks, Unwoke Thoughts. Hey, Jeremy, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. Thanks for modding, as usual. Doing a fantastic job. Thank you. You see there? Just like Candy Phillips did. Put that heart in there and look at it floating around. Come on, guys. What other live stream do you watch that does that? That's pretty sweet, right? Come on. I work so hard to keep you guys entertained. So hard. I just do so much. Oh, yeah. There we go. Stacy Bogert says, Andrew, my husband says he loves your reporting. Hey, Stacy, tell your husband thank you very much. Say, Andrew Unwoke Thought says, thank you very much, sir. I'm glad you enjoy. Russ, fellow Michigander, northeast side, just above the thumb. Hey, Russ, thank you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out this morning. See what else we got. Jamie says they can't win the election. That's why they are doing this. No one wants to vote for them. This is true. No one wants to vote for that. And I would hope nobody wants to vote for that. Thank you, Jeremy or Jamie. Michelle said, I didn't leave. I listened to the whole show. That's true. That's true. I know you did. You just couldn't mod like you usually did. Michelle says, hey, we love you too, Andrew. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you. Joy is in the chat. She says, it's all scary these days as far as voting goes. I don't know who to trust. Yes. Thanks, Joy. Jeremy says, we are MAGA, and MAGA holds the majority. Yes, that is true. We are the majority. Michelle says, Andrew, are you covering the president's rally tonight? Yes, I should be covering that. I believe it's 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So if you guys would like to watch the rally, I believe it's in Florida for Donald Trump. I should be going live tonight. So stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And if you haven't hit that bell notification, hit that bell notification. It'll alert you. It'll notify you. Because sometimes YouTube, they won't, put it in your feed. It's really weird. I've been hearing it from a lot of people. Your videos don't show up in my feed. The way around that is to hit that bell and hit the notification. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with me this morning. I hope everyone has a fantastic day. If you haven't yet, hit that like on the stream. Share the stream with somebody. Become a member if you'd like to support the show. And that reminds me, we have a new member. We Need People. Welcome, We Need People. Thanks for joining as a member. If you join as a member, you get a sweet little badge by your name, like Michelle has here. It's pretty awesome. So check it out. But ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic day. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Actually, no, that's not true. I will see you tonight on the next one when we cover Donald Trump's rally in Florida. Have a good day.